Peace. This is Dr. Bassett from Morning Medicine. It may sting a little bit and even burn, but surely it will do what medicine does, and that's heal. Not everything people call you is your name. That's what we want to talk about this morning. Not everything people call you is your name. It took me decades to understand that. So I want you to sit with that for a moment. Because some of us have spent years answering to names we never should have accepted. Failure, convict, dropout, addict, angry, too much, too loud, too emotional, too sensitive, difficult, broken, selfish, hopeless. Some of those words were spoken by people who loved you. Some came from people who hurt you. Some came from strangers. And if we're honest, some came from the voice in our own head. The tragedy isn't that people said those things. The tragedy is that we started introducing ourselves to life as if they were true. Somewhere along the way, we stopped saying, that's what happened to me. And we started saying, that's who I am. There's a difference. A prison sentence is not your identity. A divorce is not your identity. A relapse is not your identity. Being rejected is not your identity. Making a mistake is not your identity. Being abandoned is not your identity. Those are experiences. They're chapters, possibly. They're not the title of your story. I think about children, right? If you tell a child long enough that they're stupid, eventually they stop raising their hand. I know this from experience. My mother, shout out to Mama Bats, always told me I was brilliant, but I stepped into a world that didn't see it or that attempted to crush it, because my brilliance was not about coloring in straight lines, walking in straight lines, sitting still all day. My brilliance was centered in challenge, in inquiry, in a search and a hunger for understanding that didn't fit having this perfect memorization. If you tell a child that they're trouble, eventually they stop trying to prove that they're good. Again, this is from my experiences. If you tell them that they don't matter, eventually they begin living like they don't. There's an African proverb that says the child that is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Will burn it down. Words don't just describe people. They can become the places that people live. Maybe that's why some adults are still living inside words that were spoken to them when they were 5 years old, when they were 8 years old. Over 50 years ago for some of us. And we're still allowing those words to govern who we are today. But today, I want to remind you of something. You get to decide which words to answer to. You don't have to answer to every accusation. You don't have to wear every label. You don't have to carry every opinion. Some labels belong in the trash, not in your spirit. Let me be clear. This isn't about, we're not talking about or offering permission to ignore accountability. Sometimes people tell us the truth, and the truth helps us grow. Sometimes it's medicine, right? Because medicine is truth, and truth is medicine. If you're impatient, become more patient. If you've hurt someone, make it right. If you've been selfish, own it and change. Growth requires humility. But there's a difference between accepting responsibility and accepting an identity that was never yours. One says, I made a mistake. The other says, I am a mistake. And those are not the same. One leads to healing. The other leads to shame. And shame has buried more dreams than failure ever could. Because someone was called unqualified, they didn't start the business. Because of someone else's words. Words, the way we talk about a people dictates how we treat them. Words hold power. How many books were never written because someone was called uneducated? How many healthy relationships never began because someone was believed that they were too damaged to be loved? How many leaders stayed silent because they were called too much? The world loses something every time a person mistakes a label for identity. So today, I want you to do something. Think about one word you've been carrying that doesn't belong to you anymore. Maybe it's failure. Maybe it's unworthy. Maybe it's criminal. Maybe it's unlovable. Maybe it's not enough. Now imagine putting that word down. Not because it never happened, but because it never had the authority to define you. You are not your worst day. You are not your biggest mistake. You are not the opinion of your loudest critic. You are not what happened to you. You are who you choose to become from this day forward. So when life calls your name, answer to the one that you're standing in. Answer to the one that you know in your soul is why you were created and that you're ready to become. Not the one fear gave you. Not the one trauma gave you. Not the one your neighborhood gave you. Not the one your past gave you. Carry your own name and leave everyone else's label behind. Because not everything that people call you is your name. This is Dr. Bass with your morning medicine. Change doesn't happen miraculously. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens one morning at a time. I'll see you tomorrow.